Welcome back to the Pistons Jack YouTube channel. On today's episode, we'll talk about the hidden gem the Pistons might have found through 2 games at Summer League. We'll also touch on another young Piston who's having a very, very encouraging performance out in Vegas. And we'll wrap it up with how this all affects the Pistons roster and depth chart. So let's get to it. All right, so first things first, let's show Daniss Jenkins some love. The Pistons today, or by the time you're watching this yesterday, played their second game at Summer League, and they had another big win, 98-83 over the Houston Rockets. They're now 2-0 at Summer League, and to my eye, they look like one of the best teams at Summer League. And, you know, even if Ron Holland's going to get some rest these next couple of days, I am feeling very good about this team's chances of at least getting to like the next stage. I'm not even sure what it's called, but the final stage where they can compete to win the whole thing. That's something we haven't experienced before, at least I can remember. So that's very exciting. But the headline of today's game was the play of second-year guard Daniss Jenkins, who finished with 23 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, a block, was 7 of 10 from the field, 3 of 4 from deep, 6 of 6 from the line. Just did everything, scored 20 points in the first half, did all this in only 22 minutes, or 23, I should say. And honestly, like, just looked like the best player on the court today in a game that had Reed Sheppard, the 3rd overall pick, Ron Holland, the 5th overall pick, who we'll talk about in a sec. He looked really nice, but Daniss Jenkins today was exceptional. The Pistons pretty much controlled this entire game, but it was in the second quarter where the Rockets got it back from like 16 points. I think they got it back to almost like even, but Jenkins was huge. Like I said, 20 in the first half. He continues his awesome Summer League. Overall, he's averaging 20.5 points, 5 assists, 3 steals and blocks combined. And then this is the part that's super impressive to me. 67% from the field, 67% from 3. And he hasn't just taken 2 threes. Like I said, 3 or 4 today. He hit a couple against the Knicks in game 1. 100% from the line. Like, once again, hasn't just taken 1 free throw. 6 of 6 today. Can't remember exactly how many he took against the Knicks, but I'd say at least took 1 or 2. So, very small sample, but he's only played 2 games, and you can only assess what he's done so far, and I've been super impressed. And I think, I'm not sure if he gets his 15th or 14th roster spot. There's still 2 spots remaining. I think the Pistons really need to prioritize a 4. But I tell you what, for those that are worried about the backup point guard position, the overall point guard depth, the playmaking, maybe Daniss Jenkins, even if he doesn't get upgraded to a full-time roster spot, even that 2-way, he could be that guy. He could be the future point guard, backup point guard of the future. Seriously. And I know this is just Summer League, but this is a guy, last season with the Crews, was the go-to player on that team. He averaged 21 points there, 7 assists, 2 steals. Now, the percentages, the context here is he was the go-to guy. So you have to remember that. He took a lot of tough shots. The games I watched, he was forced into a lot of shot clock, via like end of the shot clock shots, but he still shot 44%, 34% from 3, 79% from the line. You'd like those all, like honestly, 1 to 2% higher, and you'd feel a lot better. But like I said, he was asked to be the guy. So those numbers are probably skewed a little bit to lower. But he's just looked incredible. And I've loved watching him. You know, today he locked up Reed Sheppard. And I tell you what, Reed Sheppard, he did not look good today. He wasn't the best player on the court. He wasn't even the second best. He might have even been the top 5. Like, he's definitely a top 5 talent, but the way he played, the turnovers, and I give the Pistons, our guys, a lot of credit. Like, they were tough with him. He was taking bad shots. I thought that was meant to be like one of his calling cards, is his like efficiency. But look, I have to credit Daniss Jenkins once again. I thought he played excellent defense, in particular on Reed. And then he was giving it to Reed Sheppard on the other end. And you could tell Daniss was locked in. So shout out to Daniss Jenkins. Not sure exactly what happened to his contract. Trajan probably just says, we've already got you on the 2-way. Keep doing your thing, and we'll circle back next summer. But, I mean, he's looking like more than a 2-way player. I'll say that. I know he's 23. I know you probably expect second Summer League to be doing this, but the efficiency, the way he's getting these buckets is really standing out to me. It's not like you can have players come in and put up similar raw numbers like 21 points, 5 assists, steals and blocks, and just do that off talent, whereas he's doing that, but he's doing it within the context of the game, and the efficiency is super nice. That's the bit there that should give you faith that this isn't just like a better talent overwhelming lesser talent. Like it is that obviously, but he's doing it with real efficiency. And if you watch the games, 4-point play, he's cutting, getting dunks, floaters, had a nice drive and finish today. So it's all there. It's all working for him right now. And I'm really excited to see what he can do the next 2 to 3 games. But let's transition to his teammate, Ron Holland. Now, Ron was certainly star of the show game 1. Game 2, he started the game. He was passing a lot better, and that's something I want to just talk about with him first. He's averaging 2.5 assists, but if you're watching Ron, he had 2 really nice lob dishes in the first quarter today. One to, I think, Tolu Smith, the other to Bobby Clintman. I've really liked the passing decisions he's making. I think they've been a lot more in control. He's still averaging 2.5 turnovers, but I think in like the open court and half court, he's just making like the lob passes are like more flashier. But I've really enjoyed the way in which he's just passing the ball. Like he's not getting assists on all these passes that I'm referring to, but he just is making the simple right reads. And I spoke about it last episode, but I think the big thing for Ron, a massive improvement area for him, was his decision making on drives when he has the ball in his hand, not just forcing it and trying to get his own and get to the line, which is going to be a strong part of his game. But if he can open up the passing and continue to build on what we're seeing at Summer League, that's going to make him a true starting level 3-man, maybe a 4, that's contributing to a real playoff team and playing big minutes. So he hit 2 threes again today. He was 2 of 6 today, 4 or 5 last game. So he's still shooting 55% from 3. I think 6 of 11 is a huge improvement no matter what. He's shooting 54% from the field. 70% from the line, that's probably the number you want to see a little bit higher, but that's still probably skewed down a bit from the first game. Overall, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 3 steals, 6 steals so far. That tends to be what happens with these super athletic guys. So there was Hoops Hype put out a stat or a metric, which you can see here on the right, that Ron, after the first 2 days at Summer League, was the highest ranked player. That was all from his first performance. That's probably dropped a little bit now, but still a really encouraging game today. And I thought he took a step back, wasn't as aggressive in the first half, was more looking to find his teammates. And once again, the threes he missed, I honestly thought looked really good. Like he hit a pull-up today. That's been the cool thing as well. These aren't just catch and shoot. Like he's hit a step back, a couple of pull-ups. It's looking really nice, like a pull-up in the first game off a pick and roll, like a pull-up in transition, I think today, or semi-transition. Like there's some variety there, and this is what you want to see. And I don't feel like he's taken like 2 horrible threes back-to-back or within a 3-minute stretch. Like he's just within the flow, getting them up. And I'm not sure if he keeps playing after. I didn't think he'd play today, so maybe he does play another game or another half. So he's been super solid. The thing I want to finish the show on today is the Pistons depth chart. So as you can see here on the right, the Pistons depth chart, we've spoken so much about this. And with how Daniss Jenkins has been playing, you can see him as that third, I guess, point guard behind Sasser and Kay. I think that, look, if Daniss stays on a 2-way, it's going to be hard for him to truly compete with Marcus Sasser because 2-way guys have game caps and can only play a certain amount of games. But it's funny because Sass and Daniss Jenkins are like, from what I understand and have seen, like great childhood friends. But if Daniss Jenkins gets a full-time contract, it's going to be a fight for him and Sass, who's that kind of, in theory, it's probably going to be the 10th or 11th man in the rotation. But though, like, I still think, like I said, Sass has done it at the NBA level. He's done it. Sass has had a tough role. Like he hasn't found a consistent role at the NBA level yet, but when he has, it's very rare Marcus Sasser has a bad game, in my opinion. When he gets minutes, he normally capitalizes on them, but it's just him and Daniss, and Jenkins has much more of a floor game as a playmaker than Sass, and some of that's due to the size and athleticism of Jenkins, and some of that is just due to the overall vision and playmaking. So, maybe the backup point guard market, apart from Malcolm Brogdon, is pretty stale as is. So I really think now with Jenkins and the way he's looking, you don't need that, especially with Jaden Ivey, Karis LeVert, as you can see here. Asar Thompson playmaking reps. Jalen Duran obviously can pass. I think that they're good for playmaking, in my opinion, with what's available, I should say, with what they have on the roster and what they could go and get. So, to me, looking at this, the backup 4, go get Chris Boucher. Go get Chris Boucher. You've still got the vet min. You've got that traded player exception, which I probably don't think is going to be used to the trade deadline if they do use it, or at least like mid-December onwards of 14.3 million. And you also have the biannual, which I think is probably what it'll take to get Chris Boucher. Go get him. He's 32 years old. He's played for the Raptors his whole career. He's like, he can stretch the floor, can block some shots. He's not going to be asked to play a huge role here. And maybe that's why he doesn't come, but to me, backup 4, let's fill it up. Let me know your favorite players there. But I think we've got enough, like with what we're seeing, Daniss Jenkins, if he can continue this, I'm feeling pretty okay and fine with what we have on the roster right now for playmaking and guard play, considering I don't really like any of the backup point guards available. For me, it's just go get that backup 4 filled, and let's see how this thing goes until the trade deadline, because I'm not going to lie, just seeing the whole Pistons team at both games, basically watching the squad, everyone but Karis LeVert seems to be there. And Ron Holland Jr., I've got to do some digging. I don't know what's going on there, but he is signed to the Crews, I believe. But everyone else has been there cheering on these guys, which has been really cool. So I'm so excited. I kind of sad we're only in July. I wish we were a bit closer to the start of the season. But yeah, I know there hasn't been that big splashy move, but I'm so excited for this team. Let me know how your depth chart would look. Do the Pistons still need a backup point guard? I kind of think Daniss, from what I'm seeing and what they have, is covering that. Get the backup 4 for me. But yeah, let me know your depth chart, who you would add, and all that kind of thing. Your thoughts on Summer League so far. But it's been really fun. We've got at least 3 games to go, maybe an extra one if we can get to the championship, but I'll have you covered here. We'll be back tomorrow with another video, and we'll have you covered for this whole summer league, so stick with us. Appreciate all the love, support recently, and as always, go Pistons.